All right, so I'm in our course, and hopefully by now, I'm just going to show you how I got here. Hopefully by now you've watched this first video, way important because it gives you all that information about what you need to have. And quick answer here, you need to have a subscription to lynda.com that you can get through the Fresno County Library. So if you haven't watched this video, I recommend you go check it out. It's pretty short and it shows you what you need. So for this item, this first week of the semester, you'll have 3 items due. And I'm going to create the video for the first one. And what you're going to need to do is, and just FYI, in the past I have used Google Drive to have students take notes because on the lecture, most of the time what you're going to be doing is taking notes on something I've provided. So like this week, it's me doing this lecture. So I've decided to move away from Google Drive and in lieu of using what we already are going to use later on, which is called GitHub. So GitHub is great and you're going to learn more about it, and I'll talk more about it in a little bit, but in this first video there'll be a couple of videos here for you to complete. What you will need to do is first set up a GitHub account. So I have a link here to GitHub so that when you click, and I'm already signed on, but you'll need to, and there'll be a clearly defined thing there to sign up and create an account. Okay? So that's step 1. You need to do that before you can do any other work in our class. So make sure, and hopefully you're seeing this, like this item is due the first Thursday by midnight, and hopefully you've seen this before too late on Thursday, because I'm not going to be up at 10 o'clock if you're trying to get this item done. Hopefully you're going to, do this ahead of time, but if you're waiting till the last minute on Thursday, just know that I may not be able to do this step for you, which is why I'm providing it, which is right now before the semester starts, right? So that's the thing. Get your GitHub account set up, and then what you will have is a username. Now that username may or may not be what your login is. I think you can create something different. But whatever it is, like for me, my username for GitHub is Ria Waller, right? And then I also have a student account that I'm going to show you in a minute set up. And that account I'm going to use right now to show you what you need to do once you've done this step. Okay, so do that step. So what I will do is once I get the email from you, I will invite you in to our organization, our course organization. And what this is this is a private part of GitHub that only folks in the class will see. And that's actually one of the reasons I really like this, is because if you're going to be in web development in any sort, you're going to have come into contact with GitHub. But before I go further, let's get you set up. So what you want to do is once you email me, I'm going to actually show you the behind the scenes what I will do. Okay? And in order to do that, let me show you that I'm logged in. I have an account. It's called FCC Student, right? So I'm going to simulate the idea of when you email me, right? So as instructor, when I get your email saying this is your account, here's what I do. I go into GitHub. I choose the organization. I have a couple. I'll choose 8082. And then in here, I'll do view. And I will invite people in, and I'll invite you in. So I'm going to invite. So I'm going to just simulate the idea of inviting a student in so you can see now this is the part, again, you don't need to understand. I'm just kind of going through the motions. You're going to be a member, and actually we're going to do just a fresh start because I already had this account set up before. And there you go. You won't be owner, but you will be a member. So now what's happened is, and this is when I want to switch over to that account. So this is what you're going to see. The first thing you're going to see is you're going to see an invite in your inbox here for getting into CIT82 in GitHub, right? I'm going to show you as well, if for some reason you don't get this, because I've only had a couple of students not get this email, there actually is another way that you can get in. And let me show you. I've actually provided a link right here in the course for CIT82. So what you could do in GitHub is either copy and paste that link or just go to /CIT82. Now that's once I've said I've set you up. And here's the reason I'm saying this is you can actually just go ahead and view the invitation and accept it here, or you can click on here to join the organization. Okay, so that step should be fairly straightforward and not an issue. So actually I think I'll click on here and just join, and I'll say, yeah, join the organization. Cool, right. So now that you're in the organization, now you're going to create a repository. And you could think of this as like a folder, right? And you're going to end up creating 2 repositories in here. And then later you're going to end up creating one outside of the organization that's going to be what we call public facing. Anyone can see it. But in this case, and the terms can be in the beginning a little different, you'll create 2 repos, one for only you and I. And by the way, let me just show you in the write-up. I've actually given you how I want you to name it. And I've also said, this will be your name, the first name of your last name. And this plus means you concatenate, add together, and you'll see me do this. Public, and this is private. So you'll create 2. One's going to be public, one's going to be private, and then I'll show you the different ways you set them up. So just be when you're doing this step, just make sure you do it right. If I see it wrong, I'll have you redo it. So, just get it right the first time. Okay, so let me switch back over. So now that I know I need to create in my own, in the organization that I've been added to as a student, then I'm going to create a repository. Okay, and I can see it's under the 82, which is great. And now do this as lowercase. So for me, Rio W. So for you, first name, first letter of your last name, underscore. Okay, so let's do the private one first. There we go. And then let's say Rio's private. I can spell repo. Now again, repo is just like a folder. So this first one will be private, okay? We're going to talk about these things later, but for now, go ahead and click that you want to set up a README file, where this is actually a really important part of why you're here. You'll see this in a second. So this one is, this one is private, right? And this is the way we want it, private. And the next one will be public. So we'll end up doing 2, as I said before. So let's create that. Great. So you have your first folder, repo, in our course set up. Okay, that's great. So let's actually go create your second one. Go back to 82. In here, we're going to do another new repo. This might be in a little different place, but no big deal. And this one, same first part, underscore public. Okay, so this would be Rio's public repo. Now, really important, public. Initialize a README file, and there you go. Okay, so now you have 2 repos in our 82 directory. And if I go look at them, you can see, I can see, and I think you will, actually you will see this as well. You'll start seeing other students' public repos show up, but you won't see their private. And if you do see their private, flag them and tell them, hey, you need to make sure this one is set as private, and here's how you know. Great. So this first part of what we're going to be doing here is working in the private repo. So I'm going to go ahead and click in here. Okay. Now in here, this is the README file, and this is very common on repos. Now we're using GitHub a little differently than ultimately people use it in web development, but that's okay, because even the way we're going to use it is very, very helpful. So notice the file. In this case, it's a standard file, type of file, but it's got an extension called MD, and that's called Markdown. Okay, so here's what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you modify this Markdown, the one that says README, just for this first part. Okay, and here's what I want to show you, right? So notice when we were looking, and you can actually preview changes here, right? So in this case, Rio Waller. So let's go ahead and now actually spell this out, right? Rio Waller's private repo. And down here, right? Welcome. Let's go. This is my CIT82 lecture. Well, let's just go work for now. Okay, just so you can see the idea. And again, actually, let me show you a little, because we're actually going to do one of our assignments this week is actually going to be on learning Markdown. So Markdown is a simplified version of HTML and used for documentation for GitHub, right? So let me go ahead and do this. There's actually, if I do that, let me show you how what that does is it actually creates, oh, I see. Let's go back here. Repo. I'm trying to think of where that other stuff's coming up at. Anyway, I'll go in there and look in a minute. I'm trying to see where this is still located. It must just be in a heading somewhere. So, but for now, what I want to have you do is go ahead and go to the bottom. And notice there's something called a commit. So you're used to working in an editor, either on Google Docs, Word, or whatever, that automatically saves your changes. And this is something you need to get used to with GitHub, is that it doesn't do that, because what you need to do is actually give it a message. And this is called a commit message, or and we're saying to commit these changes, right? And it gives you some boilerplate text you could use, updating readme.md file, adding minor, and you can these over time you learn how to do these commit messages to where they more reflect what you're actually doing. But in this case, we're just doing minor changes to learn how to do it. So, and in this case, it's saying we're going to commit to the master branch. We'll talk about branches later. So go ahead and do commit change. Cool. So now, oh, I guess it was still seeing that other one. So now it actually has my correct. So this is now our first updated. We've done an update to the markup file in your private repo. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to have you do before I stop this video is actually set up the document you're going to end up taking notes on for this lecture. Okay. And I'll show you at the end of that how to actually submit your changes. So let's go back here. Let's go back to our, because we're in the README file. Let's just go click on private. And now we're going to create a new file. Okay. And so we're going to create a new file, and we're going to create the idea of a folder, like a subfolder within a folder. So let's call this lectures. And when I hit tab here, oh, not tab, when I hit /, so I did lectures / and do these all in lowercase. When I do / here, it says, oh, you're creating a subdirectory. Okay. And again, this is very different than creating subdirectories on the file system that you've probably done, but that's okay, because later on, anyway, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to preview what I'm going to do next. So now we're going to call it week1.md. So markdown, right? So in here, we'll go week1 lecture. Now, this is going to be a heading, right? So we're going to put H1 is here, right? So if we hit a preview, you can see that here. And if we wanted to do an H2, we could do that, right? So it's a little different. So if you used headings before, that's one pound is a heading 1. All right. And then what you can do here is hit either a dash, my notes from video lecture. Cool. So then we have a cool. All right. So at this point, we're going to create week1 lecture file. Created file for week1 lecture markdown notes. We'll commit it to the master, and boom. So that's good. So now you're good to go for the next video. So what I'll do here is like this, we're not complete yet. So I haven't shown you how to submit. I've just given you this first video to show you how to set up your document so that you can take notes on my next video. Okay? All right, so continue on to the next one.